Hello everybody and welcome into the Asphalt Outlaws Racing Truck Series live in the desert here tonight at Phoenix Raceway. Got another good one on tap for you. Adding another short track race onto the season here tonight, and it is going to be a lot of chaos, a lot of craziness, but it's going to be fun, and we might see a new winner here tonight. You never know. Thank you all so much for tuning in. You're watching Austin Green on Ghost Racing Network. Well, drivers, they've gotten down trackside, getting gridded up, getting ready to go. And with qualifying complete, let's take a look at what your starting lineup here tonight is going to be for the winning bid 165. Taking the pole, it's going to be Keith Prince for Turn 4 Racing. He will roll off with his first pole of the season here tonight. As a matter of fact, David Traylor, Mr. Consistency, will roll off from his outside in second. Isaac Smallwood back in that third position is where he will start. Haas Beverly to his outside in fourth. It's going to be Nathan Somerville and Dylan Paws making up row number 3. Great qualifying effort for both of those two trucks. Back in 7th, it's Robert Dudley, followed by Michael Newman. Joe Yakes in 9th, and Brody Benty rounding out your top 10. Jeremy Tolley will roll off in 11th. It's going to be John Shilino in 12th. Jesse Calloway 13th. Jesse Wise in 14th. Clinton Woodby back in 15th with Dennis Steele in 16th. Rick LePage, Mark Beverly making up row number 9. Nicholas Lawrence and Kevin Winker round out your top 20. Bill Hale starts 21st. Evan Schilling in 22nd. Colton Hardy 23rd with Jonathan Herbert in 24th. Lance Thompson 25th. Andrew Hansley rounding out the field tonight. He will roll off from 26th. All right, getting into your race info again. It is the winning bid 165 here tonight. Scheduled distance 165 laps, and Phoenix Raceway exactly a mile in length, so that'll put us right at 165 miles. Fuel in the tank 95%. Looking like that's probably right around 60 laps for these guys, maybe give or take a handful. We'll get more into that as the race gets going. 4 sets of tires in total, including the ones that you got on the truck to start the race. So tire management definitely going to be a big key here tonight. We'll see who can manage them the best. One fast repair, fixed setups as always, and then of course there will be that one stage break tonight, going to be at lap 55, the start of 3 green-white checkers as well if we need a. Track temp tonight, you see the sun going down, clear skies, 18-mile-an-hour wind, 68 degrees outside, and then back to the track temp, 70 degrees, so going to be plenty of grip here, especially on these restarts. Going to be a lot of speed, a lot of aggression. Looking to see everybody probably fanning out 4, maybe 5 wide across the dogleg here in just this first lap. All right, here we go. Duel in the desert. It's time to get this one rolling. Green flag is in the air. We're racing in Phoenix. Caution is out. We got one spinning around on the back here. Just caught the end of it there, and that's a tough start of the race for Rick LePage in the 24. So he's going to get it looped back around. He'll get back going in the right direction, but caution here on lap 1, and definitely not the place that we necessarily expected it the most. I mean, certainly a probable area for a caution, but man, I mean, you saw him fanning out 3-4 wide on the front stretch in the dogleg. I thought for sure that would be the area where we saw the first incident, but not the case. Let's go back, take a look at this one. All right, so here you go. They're 3, just about 4 wide. That's Colton Hardy all the way on the bottom. Kevin Winker up top on the 42. Bill Hales in the middle. And I'm thinking this is just going to be kind of an instance here of just really running out of room. Again, there's no track boundaries here at Phoenix, so you can go as low as you want. If you want to hug that inside wall, that white wall by the inside there, if you will, through 3 and 4, you can do so. And you see Colton Hardy running well below the apron, rolling pretty good speed, but actually looks like rolling really good speed. In fact, he's going to get clear here of all of these guys. That has nothing to do with the issue. It looks like just the 24 there is getting a little bit tight. Rick LePage, and once that truck starts to wash up, there's already 2 guys out there. He gets into the 53, goes for a slide, and then gets tagged by Lance Thompson. That's what really finished him off, and I think ultimately brought out the caution. And that contact in the rear, lucky to be the only contact. You do see a little damage back there. I don't think it'll really affect Rick LePage too much. But if you're a Lance Thompson fan, you got to be a little worried, because not only did he take that damage, but then he took that second huge shot off the inside wall right there. And I'm not sure if his steering maybe broke or if it was a separate issue, but taking the onboard view here for Thompson, who just looks like a deer in the headlights, kind of freezes, nowhere to go, and then stays in the throttle, as I'm assuming he probably broke something with the left front, because this thing just goes straight back down to the inside wall, tags it, and then able to continue on here. Curious to see, does this truck, yeah, it's able to turn in the corner, so still may be salvageable, if you will, for the 21, but again, not the start of the race that either of these guys wanted, especially with some of the speed that they qualified with. Rick LePage, by the way, qualified inside the top 20, so now this is, again, going to be a pretty major setback for the 24 team. It is one of the Turn 4 Racing drivers. We saw one of his teammates in Keith Prince, of course, grab the pole here tonight. And it looks like he was able to get back out on track, got at least some of that damage fixed, but you do still see a dent there in the left taillight of his Chevy Silverado. All right, so as we get ready to go back to green flag racing here after wrapping up the first caution of the night, it is almost going to be carbon copy of what we saw in the first restart. A little bit of a different position swap, if you will, for second and third, but it is still Keith Prince who's going to lead him back to green. Isaac Smallwood up to second, Trailer back to third. Nathan Somerville in fourth, Joe Yakes in fifth, Haas Beverly in sixth, Dylan Paws back in seventh, Jeremy Tolley eighth, Michael Newman ninth, and Jesse Calloway rounding out your top 10. All right, this time we're going to go to a bit of a different view here. Going to get the blimp cam and see if we can catch these guys fanning out as much as they do here down the dog leg on the front stretch here of Phoenix Raceway. Green flag back in the air. 5 laps complete as they cross the stripe, and here we go. As soon as they cross the checkers, everybody drops below the line. You see Colton Hardy further back towards the bottom right of your screen, picking up a lot of position there quickly, and boy, that was a close moment. We got one spinning out back. I think that's John Shileno. He holds on to it, but it is going to indeed draw the caution. So we immediately go back under yellow after just getting the green flag again, and it looks like that was indeed John Shileno as that 33 gets back rolling, but you do see a couple buffs and scratches, especially in the left side door. That beautiful looking Sonic Graphics design paint scheme. All right, here we go. This one, again, just similar. I mean, everybody's on cold tires. You're fighting for real estate, and on his outside, he's racing pretty hard here with the 69 of Jesse Wise as they get down into the corner. And, ooh, that looked like maybe the 69 coming down a little bit too much. That's what sent the 33 around, just got into his door and sucked the truck right around, and he got tagged, but ultimately didn't look like the damage was anything too severe. Watch this here from the chopper view, and I want to see. All right, so here we go. Watch as they get into the corner here. I'm thinking that Jesse Wise, not sure if he just doesn't realize he's down there or just, yeah, I mean, looks to me, yeah, that's just a 69 coming down the racetrack. John Shileno, he's getting in. You know, he's running a pretty good corner, hugging the bottom relatively well, and Jesse, I'm not sure if the back end started to step out and he just had to drive the truck down the racetrack, or if there's a little bit more to it, but man, once he clips him, it's on from there. Watch this from a couple different angles. John Shileno, though, with a pretty good save overall. That was Mark Beverly in the 13 there, who you saw get into a little bit of damage on the front nose of that 13. He probably gets the worst of that one, but definitely don't think that's going to be a night ender by any regards. Give you one more view here, actually, from the onboard of Mark Beverly through this. And not only does he see the spin, but he's also going to see contact here, as he was the one that made that contact. Boom, into the left side door. Tried to get on the brakes, but just ran out of time, and I don't really see any damage to the front of his F-150, so he'll get back going, get back up to the front of the field, and if we get another caution, actually take that back, probably under this caution, he went in, got whatever damage he needed to get fixed, as now we see John Shileno in the pits. So you got to wonder as well if this is him getting a little bit of damage fixed, or if potentially he's just going in here to top off on fuel and tires. And we don't get the want-to-go signal just yet, so he's good to do that for now. Keith Prince still being scored as your leader. David Trailer second, Isaac Smallwood in third. Nathan Somerville back in fourth with Joe Yakes fifth, Jeremy Tolley in sixth. Haas Beverly seventh, Dylan Paws in eighth, Jesse Calloway ninth, and Clinton Woodby rounding out your top 10. Well, I'll tell you what, last short track we were at, Martinsville, and one thing we learned from there is that it takes a while to get in a rhythm, and it certainly is showing here tonight with the 2 early cautions. Not even 10 laps complete yet. But of course, we still got plenty of time to go and plenty of time to get a longer green flag run under the belts of these drivers. And I think once that's the case, that's where you see things start to get a little bit more interesting. Now, I just don't really see any way that anybody in this field right now could have went in yet to take a set of tires. I mean, we still got over 150 laps to go in this race, and you've only got 3 sets of stickers sitting in the pit. So if you go in now and take one of those 3 sets, man, you're going to be struggling here, I have to imagine, by the end of this race. Now, in terms of fuel, about 60 laps. Let's just imagine here for a second that this thing goes green the rest of the way. 10 laps knocked off. That puts us at 155, I believe, to go once we get the green flag right here. So you're still looking at least a 2-stopper. You can't make it with just 1 stop from here, but you can get to probably right around lap 130 or so. And so after that, you'd only have to pit 1 more time, and you'd only need about 35 laps of fuel. So the point is, with the way it's setting up, I think you don't even want to consider probably even thinking about taking this first set of tires until we get to, I'd say maybe at least lap 60. Somewhere around there. I mean, it's going to be a tough decision on the hands for all these guys tonight, and we'll see how the different strategies pan out, how they go about it, which strategy becomes the winning strategy. All right, here we go. Rolling back through turn number 4. Virtual belts tighten back up. Keith Prince, Isaac Smallwood on the inside. David Traylor and Nathan Somerville on the outside. Rolling back into the Geico restart zone. Green flag back in the air at Phoenix. Good restart for Keith Prince. He's quickly going to be able to pull away to a handsome lead before they get down to turn number 1. Further back, Michael Newman, Jesse Calloway, a couple others trying to see if they can make anything work. No 3 wide that time, though. As now into turn number 2, rather. It is still Keith Prince with the lead. Smallwood's going to shuffle into second. Who's shaking the truck around there a little bit. I don't know if he was trying to get those tires warmed up. If he had a separate issue, you see David Traylor still hot on his tail. Traylor choosing a different approach. This is really interesting right here because you see the 5 of Smallwood. He cuts that dog leg about as short as he can go, and it makes him a lot of time. He gets just about even with the 3 truck getting down into turn number 1, but that outside still rolling a little bit better right now. That cooler track temp, not enough to make the inside stick just yet. As the tires were out, it could become a little bit more of an interesting story, but so far, 3-car breakaway for the lead. Ooh, Smallwood. What a big moment for the driver to number 5. He holds on, but that's going to allow David Traylor to get by. Man, that was a really, really close call for Isaac Smallwood, who looks like isn't going to give this second place battle up just yet. Stays in the throttle, but now he is going to have to concede that position here off of turn 2. As these guys continue to get it sorted out. Further back to the field, we've still got a little bit of action going on here between the 69 and the 16. That's Colton Hardy and Jesse Wise. Of course, we saw Jesse Wise involved in that first accident, as there's an onboard view in the real-life cockpit for Colton Hardy. And I apologize, no, we're on Brody Benty there for a moment, but there's Colton Hardy, the driver out of Petersburg, West Virginia. He's got a pretty good run going so far. He's already picked up 10 positions from where he started this race at, and you can see just how quickly things start to get a little bit more of a rhythm racetrack kind of feel here, as now that he has settled in behind Brody Benty and Dylan Paz, it's all about, can you run faster laps to get to these guys? Once you get there, though, all of a sudden you got to change course and figure out how to get around. Going to be 2 separate things, 2 difficult things. See how he's able to approach it here tonight. Next man up on the driver cams, introducing Michael Newman here on the night. Driver out of Wisconsin. We've seen some really strong runs out of him so far through the season. I think he's going to be a pretty good threat, of course, going into the playoffs and as we approach that championship 5. And as for tonight, he's down 2 spots from where he started, but he is still inside the top 10. Maybe looking to play some long-run strategy here, save some tire, and have something towards the end of this run. And then on the opposite end of these 2, we've got Mark Beverly, who had decent qualifying speed, top 20, but boy, it just did not work out early after getting involved in that incident that brought out the second caution of the night with John Shileno. And since then, it's been all about kind of same thing for him, trying to get back in a rhythm, slowly pick up these spots, but it's going to be really, really, really tough to try to maneuver through lap traffic, I have a feeling, here tonight. So, get what you can here, especially before this stage break. I think that's going to be kind of the best option for most of these drivers to have a chance to get back out there and ultimately go for the win if you've got yourself inside maybe the top 5, maybe top 10. Of course, with the pit stop still going to be expected. Now, one thing I didn't note, and again, sometimes I still get this mixed up with the idea of 1 stage break instead of multiple, is there won't be 2 green flag stops because we're not going to have that many laps to have to. I mean, I know we've got the laps in total to do it, but don't forget that stage break that's coming out at lap 55. And so once we get that, from there, guys can make it to about 111 or so on fuel, at least from what we could guess, maybe even a little bit more than that. And then should be good to go on a 1 stop from there, assuming all the tires hold out. So, yeah, I don't think anybody takes their first set of tires here until we get to this stage, at least not if you want to have a chance at the end, where a late caution is certainly a possibility, and certainly want to hope that you have tires if that were to be the case. Kevin Winker back in 17th, working to the inside here of Robert Dudley. Just behind them, the 88 of Jonathan Herbert and Dylan Pause going at it. Get a quick onboard view here with Dylan Pause as a 99 falling in the wrong direction here early. Back to 19th, down 13 from where he started. He had great qualifying speed, of course, qualifying in that 6th spot. So it's another driver. I mean, usually when you see guys that have speed in qualifying, I mean, they don't just fall off a rock for no reason, or excuse me, hit a brick wall rather for no reason at the start of the race. I think some of the speed lacking, if you will, right now to the 99 truck is, again, maybe him being a little bit conservative, saving a little tire. You're going to hear us talking more and more about that as this run goes on, as this race progresses, because it's going to become more and more of a factor. Bill Hales, we saw involved in that first incident, didn't get really any damage from it, but he's back in 22nd for the moment. And as for that, that's pretty much wrapped up at least all the actual side-by-side battling that we have for now. As you can see, the span between first and the last truck, at least running in the field right now, is already at least half a track, if not a little bit more. So things spreading out pretty quick, and lap traffic is certainly going to be an issue at some point in this race. It's more a question of when and how bad is that lap traffic. But right now, it is still all Keith Prince up front, qualified on pole, and has not left that spot since. David Traylor in second, Isaac Smallwood third. So in fact, for your top three, it's been a case of where they've started is where they currently run right now. But Keith Prince has got that gap between him and David Traylor up to about almost half a second now. And so David Traylor, while trying to fend off Isaac Smallwood, maybe also making up a little bit of time here on your leader for the moment. Joe Yates back and forth. That is one of your winners so far from this season. Got the job done back at Atlanta. He's looking to add on a second win here tonight, put himself back in the talks with some of the top guys in the series. Which right now I think uncontested has to go to Isaac Smallwood. I mean, he just continues to impress. I know we weren't here last week, of course, for Mid-Ohio, but take a wild guess at who got the job done. That's right. It was indeed Isaac Smallwood. Put on another clinic there, was able to get the win. And what's, from what I heard at least, sounded like one of the more tricky races that have been run all season. And it was certainly a race of endurance, attrition. It was a long one, it was tiring, but Isaac Smallwood ultimately came out victorious. And I want to show you a little bit of telemetry, but not anymore because caution is out. Joe Yates, who we were just talking about with trouble here, the 87, down below the apron. Looks like he is able to get back rolling. I see at least some damage there on the left front. We'll see if he's got any. I don't see any on the right front, and I don't really see any anywhere else. So whatever contact this was, it should have mostly been kind of isolated to the left front of the truck, if you will. And so here we go. Going to go first to the chopper cam for this one. And I know we're getting blocked there, but try the blimp cam. Maybe this will give us a little bit of a better shot. And I think Joe Yates just loses it by himself here. Getting through turn 3 and 4, and on exit puts the loud pedal down. Back end starts to slip out and just never really able to catch it. And man, he's lucky that he missed that wall that was a little bit closer to the racing surface. It would have done a lot more damage, but ultimately isn't quite able to miss the wall altogether, as he certainly does. Or excuse me, that's where he certainly got some of that left front damage from. All right, here we go. Let's take a couple more angles of this one real quick. All right, watch this from the onboard view here. That's a little, let's back this up a little bit more. But you're going to hear it start to slide out. And watch the tachometer there in the middle, just below the steering wheel. Watch it spike. And it actually doesn't even spike. Man, that's even more. I don't even know what you'd call it. Maybe more surprising that that truck got that out of shape that quick. I mean, you heard no tire spin. As soon as it started to jump out, it sounded to me like he let off too. Yeah, he did. And you see he's got the wheel 90 degrees lock right, trying everything to save it here. And I mean, honestly, for Joe Yates, there was nothing he could do there. That was really, really interesting the way that car kind of behaved right there. But certainly a tough break for Joe Yates, as it's going to cost him all his track position and a little bit of time on pit road as well to get some of that damage fixed. As we'll go back here and get another view here of the Joe Yates incident, if we can here. And it doesn't look like we're going to be able to get it from that angle, so we'll just take one more view from a normal angle. The 87 spun coming off of 4. You see he was getting pressure a little bit for what it's worth by Nathan Somerville, but I just don't think that that was enough pressure to really cause this little catastrophe Yeah, it was a pretty hard nose shot. It's going to do more damage than I think we're expecting. And, you know, Phoenix, it does classify still as a short track, but, you know, a mile in length, aerodynamics start to become important, especially down that front stretch when guys hit speeds of, well, almost 160 from what we've seen so far tonight. So, again, if you've got significant damage right now while it's early, you still got a stage break, you got time, make sure you go and get it repaired. Don't want to have a struggling truck for what's going to be these next about 25, 28, looks like officially laps when we go back green. Well, no, the lights are still on, so it's going to be 27, I believe, laps to go to the end of the stage once we get the green flag back in the air. And so Keith Prince will line up as your leader. Again, trailer second, Isaac Smallwood back in third, Nathan Somerville in fourth, Jeremy Tolley fifth, Jesse Calloway in sixth, Clinton Woodby seventh, Haas Beverly in eighth, Brody Bensey ninth, and Nicholas Lawrence rounding out your top 10 for the moment. Quick shout out to everybody tuning in here tonight. Looks like we've got a lot of people coming out early. Again, still not even through stage number 1 here just yet at Phoenix. Tower operator, good to see you. Tower operator, whichever one it is. Wild Will says, let's go to Clinton Woodby. Albert Anderson, good to see you in here. James says, what's up everyone, how are you? Good to see you, James. Again, glad you are tuning in here tonight. Hope you're doing well yourself. As in sim time, we continue to see the lights getting brighter. That's because the sun continues to go further and further below the horizon, as it is now in sim time 7:02 here in the desert. It gets darker a little bit earlier, so I think we're going to see this thing obviously kind of develop, and night will envelop this race here in just a little bit. Track temp sitting currently at 70 degrees, still nice and cool, still providing all that grip that we are seeing provide for a lot of the aggression between these leaders on these restarts. We're getting ready to get another one right now. Jeremy Tolley back in the 2. He's making some leeway here. Keep an eye on him for this restart. Back into the Geico restart zone for the third time here tonight. Green flag back in the air at Phoenix. Good restart for Keith Prince. You saw he was able to get clear by plenty. Jumps all the way down to the bottom of the dogleg. It's now they're through wide out back. Nathan Somerville stuck in the middle of David Traylor and Jeremy Tolley. And I see, looks like, oh man, believe, is that Hardy? Yeah, Colton Hardy trying to split the middle through wide. Michael Newman on the inside. Just on his outside there is Haas Beverly in the 22. Oh, the 12 got really tight. Michael Newman did not get into that corner the way he wanted. The new tires saved him a little bit, but that still lost him a lot of time. Now, speaking of lost time, Haas Beverly continues to fade here in what has just been one lap now back under green. So whatever the issues are there, he needs to get him situated, because that truck certainly not showing the speed that he's expecting out of it right now. And battle for the lead is on here between Keith Prince and Isaac Smallwood. I just think it's really interesting, though, that Isaac keeps shaking the truck there on the back. We've seen it on both restarts now. You know, I don't realize sometimes when you see guys shake the car, the truck, it has to do with trying to get fuel in the pickup, but everybody's plenty good to go on fuel right now. That's not the issue. And they're at full speed, so I think more than anything, it's just him trying to warm those tires up a little bit. Going left and right down the straightaway, but at this point I got to think they're pretty warmed up, and yeah, it doesn't look like Smallwood is considering trying to jump out and do any little snake maneuvers or S-turns, if you will. So him and Keith Prince going to continue to try to settle in here. We continue on through stage number 1. Isaac Smallwood looking to get back to the inside here into turn number 1. Side by side out of turn 2. Man, I'll tell you what, the 5 I think is a little bit faster, but we already said it once for a couple different guys, is getting there is one thing, past them's a whole nother. And Isaac Smallwood is just going to, I think, kind of keep slowly working on him here, see if he can force him into a mistake, and if not, once we get closer to the end of the stage, then you might see him consider trying to rough him up just a little bit. But so far, looks like everybody is keeping things nice and clean. All right, well, we're going to keep eyes on the front of the battle, in front of the field, but we are going to take a quick break. We'll go side by side so you don't miss a thing. Stick with us at Phoenix. We're back to Phoenix Raceway. Well, you saw it all during the side-by-side break. Battle for the lead stayed intense. And just like that, we have got ourselves a new leader here at Phoenix. Isaac Smallwood in the 5 machine has taken over from Keith Prince. Prince had led him all up to that point. And now with 41 laps complete, we start to slowly wind down the end of the stage. Again, caution will fly at the start of lap 55. So still maybe a little bit of time for Keith Prince, David Traylor, one of these guys back here to try to mount a comeback. But just don't know if I see it, especially with how hard it looks like they're getting ready to start racing in the battle for second. Nathan Somerville has caught up to these two. David Traylor is still trying to apply as much pressure as he can to Keith Prince. And interestingly enough, and I was wondering about this, we've noticed David Traylor not cutting the dog leg nearly as much. Now, of course, if you were to stay completely on the track, there's a little bit of banking down the front stretch, or if you cut the dog leg just a little bit, is that I believe it doesn't wear the tires out on the truck quite as much. Ooh, hold your breath here. This isn't going to work. 3 wide. Somerville into the inside wall. The rookie with what looked to me like a bit of a rookie mistake right there. I think he just tried to get a little bit too much too early right here. You know, he's got a faster truck, and when you got a faster truck this early on, you got to be patient. You know that you're going to be able to make that move. Set him up to where you can make that move without any risk associated. Boy, right here, it's just not quite the best time because you see that Traylor's got to run on the outside. Prince knows this. The 7 goes low. Keith Prince is saying, I don't think so. Tries to block and then says, all right, I'll let you have it, man, but I still got to turn down into the corner. And, I mean, for what it's worth right here, Keith does turn down a little bit, but I think that is Keith's way of maybe being a little bit annoyed there, kind of saying, you know, you could have given me one more corner, dude, and I probably would have let you have it. And instead, he pinches him down. The 7 goes into the inside wall. That's pretty significant contact. We'll see how much that affects that truck, if any. And now you ask yourself the question of, does the 7 maybe return a little bit? I didn't appreciate that right here to the 3 of Keith Prince. Looks like for now he's going to keep it clean as up front Isaac Smallwood has now stretched that lead to over a 1.5 seconds. Already is now Nathan Somerville looking for another peek to the inside. Man, him and Keith Prince glued to each other's bumpers right now like magnets, but looks like finally the 7 is going to get to the inside here through the corner. If he gets a good exit, watch for him to dive all the way down to the dogleg here, try to get clear before turn number 1. Not going to be able to do it. Keith Prince is really fighting hard to maintain this final podium position. And it certainly kind of appears to me now like maybe the 3 was using his stuff up a little bit more than Smallwood. Not only because he lost the lead, obviously, to Smallwood, but because, again, you see how far back he's currently fallen right now for the moment. So he'll get a chance to reset under this caution in just about 8 laps or so. And we'll see if he changes a couple things around, tries to maybe make sure that he saves some tire for the end of the run. Is, man, Prince and Somerville still not able to get unattached from each other. They finally do, as Nathan Somerville will prevail. He grabs that last podium spot. And so we'll see if he can hold on here all the way to lap 55. How about Mark Beverly and the charge he's been making through the field since that second caution got wrapped up? He is now up to that 9th position, up 9th where he started. Kevin Winker currently rounding out your top 10. As for battles on the track, not too many right now, but Michael Newman, Jesse Wise, and multiple others getting ready to get clustered up a little bit right here. You see Michael Newman on the inside of Haas Beverly. That is the battle for 13th. It's like Haas Beverly on the outside getting a little bit better drive off right here. And the 22, he's going to be able to get clear, stay clear. We'll see if he's able to try to dive a move of his own here on Clinton Woodby. And not going to be able to do it, so he'll have to jump back up, at least for now. Now, speaking of Woodby and Clinton Woodby, boy, what a long time coming it was. We were waiting to see that first win for Clinton Woodby. You knew to a degree it was just going to be a matter of time. Now, I will say we didn't see that win actually, believe it or not, come over here in the Asphalt Outlaw Racing Truck Series, but instead, it actually, believe it or not, came over in the Noma Truck Series. That's right, Clinton Woodby. Boy, there's a lot of effort to get there, but finally caught a little bit of a break, and as now we're closing in still further on the end of this thing. But I mean, you know, Woodby has had so many races now where the speed's been there, and it's just things have not quite worked out. But these series, they're heavily intertwined in terms of the drivers that race both. So now that Woodby's got that first one out of the way over there, he's looking to see if he can get himself one over here. And so far tonight, doing a pretty good job running in 13th. Qualifying effort was much better than that, though, up in fifth. Or excuse me, in fourth rather, but still so far so good. As back to the front we go, 51 laps complete, getting ready to be 52. As Isaac Smallwood crosses the stripe this time. And so that means it's going to be exactly 3 laps to go here in the stage. David Traylor still holding on to second. Nathan Somerville. Those two have created a bit of distance amongst themselves. And it is Keith Prince now going to be trying to hold off anybody else's. Ooh, big damage for... Was that Brody Benty in the 63? No, that's Jeremy Tolley. Well, what in the world happened here to the two? I mean, this truck is destroyed on the front end, but he's running pretty fast. I have no idea what could have happened here to Jeremy Tolley. And again, more surprising than just that is how fast this thing's running. Looks like he's in a modified. And you figure he's got to be struggling down the straights here, but he's got whatever speed he needs, at least through the turns. As that is a really, really impressive job to be staying up here in the top 5 with that kind of damage, or rather just outside of the top 5. My goodness. All right, well, here we go. Isaac Smallwood sees the white flag for the stage. 1 lap to go. And so get a caution at any point now. Of course, it would end the stage, but 2 more sets of corners here for Isaac Smallwood to continue the winning streak on from last week to the first stage here tonight. Off turn number 2, looking clean there. Further back, no battling for second, third, fourth, or fifth. Fifth might get a little exciting here, actually fourth rather, but doesn't look like there's going to be enough of a charge. Up front, it's Isaac Smallwood took the lead, and he is going to win stage 1 at Phoenix. They all cross the stripe, go through the dogleg. Caution is out. Of course, this is that scheduled caution for the stage break. So Isaac Smallwood comes home a winner here early in Phoenix in terms of the stage. Now, going to be looking to see if he can cap off the main event here tonight with another win. As many he's up to already, you got to pull out 2 hands. You run out of fingers. I mean, continues to rack up the wins in any form. Race wins, stage wins, laps led. Isaac Smallwood definitely right now, I think in just about anybody's mind, would have to be the favorite on the season just with all the speed he's shown so far. But as everybody catches the pace car here, gets lined up, we're going to see pit stops. And this, I think, should be kind of the first stop for everybody here and their first chance to get on a new set of Goodyears, as we now have just about 60 laps complete here in the desert. Sure enough, Isaac Smallwood leads the herd, almost like a herd of buffalo, if you will. As they all trample down the pits here. 69, that's Jesse Wise. Dylan Paws bumping a little bit back there. Colton Hardy, ooh, 16. He's got a little bit of right front damage there. Not sure what he got that from. Maybe tagging the outside wall at some point. We saw Joe Yakes with the trouble that, of course, brought out the caution earlier. We'll check on him here in just a little bit, but everybody sliding into their box. So far, so good. There's the 18 who I know we haven't talked too much about here tonight, but Evan Schilling. That's a really good-looking Mobil 1 paint scheme he's got on his Chevy Silverado here tonight. And now everybody working their way back out from the pits. And as we do go back up front, see who's going to win the battle out here. It's close, but it is going to go to Isaac Smallwood, followed by David Traylor. It looks like Jesse Calloway, though, the big winner from that one. He's going to pick up a spot over Keith Prince. Well, maybe no. We'll find out here as these guys get lined up. Nathan Somerville, though, comes out rounding out your top 5. All right, well, let's see if we can get a quick interview here with your Stage 1 winner, Isaac Smallwood. I'm sure he's pretty used to talking to us by now, but see how he's feeling about the way that the car's handling so far here tonight. Truck, rather. And actually, just as I say that here, looking for him, but I'm not seeing him. So Isaac Smallwood looks like currently not in a Discord, which I guess makes a little sense. I mean, he is missing all of his teammates here tonight. We don't see Will Rainwell. Excuse me, not Will Rainwell. I meant to say Eric Hegdahl. We don't see Eric Hegdahl, and we don't see Braden Avila. So the Mopower Racing driver definitely missing some of his usual buddies. That might be part of the reason he's not in any of the channels at the moment. Now, expecting the lights on the pace car to go off next time. That'll make us go back green with 61 laps completed, or we'll be going back green with 60, but crossing the line, it'll be 61. And so, again, you do about 60 laps from there. That gets you to 120, and they're only going to need 45 laps more after that point. So, expecting it to be a one-stop if it goes green all the way from this point when we go green right here. However, if we get a certain amount of cautions, and honestly, if we get a caution anytime with probably 105 or more laps complete, think that's when everybody's going to definitely be good to go on fuel and make that final stop and eliminate any chances of green flag stops here tonight. Megan White in the chat says, let's go Clinton Woodby. Of course, she was there for the first win we saw Clinton Woodby get, at least since I've been broadcasting over in the Noma Truck Series just last Saturday. And rooting to see if he can maybe go back-to-back here, get another one here tonight, and the sister series to it, if you will. I say sister series. I shouldn't say that. They're very separate still in terms of that, but it's just really cool. I mean, you know, for the people watching at home, if you don't get a chance to view it, there really is a lot of the same guys that we see over here in the Asphalt Outlaws Racing Truck Series over, of course, in the Noma Truck Series and vice versa. So a lot of diversity in terms of where these guys all come from in terms of racing background throughout the sport, or the virtual sport. Boy, it has been a great season up to this point. Been a lot of mixing it up. Been a lot of great racing, a lot of storylines, and a lot of first-time winners looking for another one here tonight. But somebody's going to have to stick it to that that 5 truck. He has been so fast here up to this point. David Traylor going to have his best shot at right here as he'll roll off on the outside of row number 1. Just behind him in row 2. Watch out for the 4 of Jesse Calloway and the 7 of Nathan Somerville. All right, here we go. Back into the Geico restart zone. Green flag back in the air at Phoenix. Good restart up front. Further back, though. A lot of side-by-side action. Fanning out 2 wide across the dog leg. Doesn't look like anybody's going to take it 3 wide this time, as already Isaac Smallwood has pulled out to about a 0.3 of a second lead. Now you see the 4 Jesse Calloway trying everything here to peak low on David Traylor. And just like that, caution is back out, so we'll scrub that. Ooh, chaos here on the pack stretch. Man, John Shileno, how did he sneak through that one? Looks like it's Nicholas Lawrence and Haas Beverly, the 22 and the 8. Haas is trying to get it back rolling here in the right direction. Looks like he's able to do so. But certainly a bit of damage there, as it looks like the front grille where the air intake is on the bottom of that, just about where the spoiler is on that truck, or rather the splitter. Looks like it's making a frowny face. That truck not looking too happy anymore with the damage it sustained also on the rear end. So he'll have to go in and get some repairs, see if the back end can get put back on this truck. But here we go. I mean, we saw a wreck here earlier, and it's just, especially those first couple laps, cold tires. Everybody is trying everything to get any positioning they can, set yourself up for a long run, but sometimes the real estate just isn't there. Guys misjudge it, go for it. Let's see if that was a case of this or something different here. Nope, nothing to do with real estate. The 22 just gets loose and the back end starts to come around on him. Nicholas Lawrence has absolutely nowhere to go. Neither does Dylan Paws. Bill Hales runs into it. Jonathan Herbert, Evan Scheiling, Robert Dudley. And finally after that is when everybody's able to miss it, but definitely a lot of different guys that got at least a little piece of this one, but I only see maybe 1, maybe 2 trucks that I think maybe need the fast spare there. Is John Shileno. I still cannot believe he split that gap right there between those two. I mean, I'm calling it a gap. I don't even know if you can call it that. That's how close it was. And somehow John Shileno was able to miss him. Give you another view here from the onboard of Shileno as he sneaks this one. We're going to play this at full speed too. Man, oh man, I think that's why he was rolling so slow after. He was trying to take a minute to catch his breath himself. He could not believe what just happened. I mean, you just do not see that at a track like Phoenix. When these lanes get clogged up, there is nowhere to go during a wreck, especially on the backstretch here where you see there's walls pretty close on both sides of the racetrack. So really nice piece of driving there by John Shileno, but a tough break for Nicholas Lawrence, Haas Beverly, and Jonathan Herbert as well. You see Beverly now on the pits trying to get whatever damage he can fixed before he goes back out. There goes Nicholas Lawrence. Isaac Smallwood still being scored as your leader here at Phoenix. David Traylor in second with Jesse Calloway in third. Nathan Somerville back in fourth. Mark Beverly in fifth. Kevin Winker in sixth. Clinton Woodby in seventh. Brody Benty in eighth with Jeremy Tolley in ninth. And Dylan Paws currently rounding out your top 10. All right, so the field will be back in the hands here of Isaac Smallwood. He's been doing really good on the restart so far. We'll see if he can continue that here, especially that last restart. I mean, he got ahead of everybody else by a couple car lengths before they got to turn number one. So As a result, he didn't really have to worry about getting involved with anybody's shenanigans, if you will. All right, so Isaac Smallwood, who we just talked about, lines up first. David Traylor on his outside in second. Jesse Calloway third. Nathan Somerville up to fourth. And Kevin Winker being placed back and rounding out that top 5 group. Mark Beverly back in 6th. Boy, continues to move his way through the field. If the 13's able to get a couple more spots here and then get a caution, he's got a real good shot at this one here. Maybe add a second win to the season. See if it quite pans out that way, though. There's Somerville, Calloway, Traylor, and Smallwood. All in a pack of 4 here as they're going to work their way off of turn number 4. Rolling down the long back straightaway pit road here. I believe one of the longer pit roads on all of the circuit is, see, it goes all the way down the back straightaway and then a little bit down the front straightaway as well. It has a curve in it. Just a very, very tough track. All in all, very fun track and great racing so far. Can't wait to see what we have in store now that we are going back to Green Flag Racing here in the final stage at Phoenix. Looks like a great restart, at least up front again for Isaac Smallwood. Boy, he cannot miss right now. Further back, a little bit more disorganized this time, as there was definitely a couple guys that were trying everything they could there to get through wide, but for most of them, it just wasn't really a viable option. Couldn't make it work. So back to 2x2 in single file. They'll go Winker into the outside wall. And, oh, caution is out. This is for Herbert. Jonathan Herbert, and it looks like one other involved. Was that Rick LePage? Oh, it was. We already saw LePage involved in one incident earlier at this same exact point of the racetrack. Almost similar. Yeah, maybe not too similar, but in relation to that wreck that he actually had earlier. But this one, you got to think maybe going to actually do a little bit more damage here. This is coming off of turn number 4. Just step out. Oh, yeah, I think it just steps out on the 88 there of Herbert. And once it does, I mean, it's just everybody doing everything in their power to try to miss him, but it's just too little too late. And boy, the 88 got slammed in the rear bumper, but watch this again here. He just gets loose. Once he goes up, takes a couple of big shots from a couple guys there, but it was ultimately the 24 who got spun around in that, Rick LePage, and sent towards the inside wall. Take actually one more view of this here from the TV static cam. Here's the spin for Jonathan Herbert in the 88 as he was able to get back going. So we will go back live up front. Isaac Smallwood leads the way at Phoenix. David Traylor second. Jesse Calloway back in third with Nathan Somerville in fourth. Haas Beverly fifth. Clinton Woodby sixth. Jeremy Tolley seventh. Brody Benty eighth. Dylan Pauls in ninth. Robert Dudley rounding out your top 10. All right, well, as they get ready to go back green, we're going to take another side-by-side break. Go get yourself a drink of water. Meet us back here in about 2 minutes or so. Actually, less than that, about a minute, and we'll be back to Green Flag Racing at Phoenix. Green flag back in the air at Phoenix. Oh man, looking like a little bit of struggling there. Right out of the gate is. What in the world? Already, Isaac Smallwood quickly pulling away to a substantial lead here by the time they're off of turn number 2. And now 3 wide this time, as that's the 13 Mark Beverly back to 2 wide by the time they get to turn number 3. Mark Beverly is on a mission. Train leaving the station, and he is coming through right now. A lot of momentum here, but nothing doing, as it looks like the 13 is going to still hold even with the 4 for now. Jesse Calloway gets a little wide. That's all Mark Beverly needed to get clear. Meanwhile, while this is going on, we still got the battle for the lead. That battle for the lead right now between David Traylor and Isaac Smallwood. Traylor gonna hold on to it here, but boy, we saw a similar setup here with Keith Prince. And Isaac Smallwood just kept applying that pressure, and it got to a point where no longer can anything be done here. Now I'm going back just because it looks like we're having a little bit of an issue here. I'm not sure what's going on with the SDK overlay. You noticed everything had kind of popped up there during when we switched to ads, so not sure what that was about. Apologize for it, but it looks like we got it fixed. And so there we go, 73 laps now complete in total. As looks like Isaac Smallwood going to go right back to putting the pressure on. Now he's going to jump to the inside here through 1 and 2. And boy, the place to make it happen, I think it's got to be 3 and 4 down the front stretch. I mean, it's certainly doable in 1 and 2, but it just seems like from what we've seen for the most part tonight, that outside in 1 and 2, it's just way too much momentum. And it's so much easier to defend than it is over in 3 and 4. Now here's a view on board with Isaac Smallwood. You see he is working right now on the inside of David Traylor. And there you see that momentum that carries David Traylor down the stretch. Now, one thing I will say for Smallwood here that's paying off for him is you're not burning up nearly as much tire when you do run the bottom of the racetrack. So, got to think he's going to have a little bit more to work with here at the end of this run if we can stretch it into a long run. But if we get a caution here at any point, that'll, of course, change a lot of things up in a pretty big way. Smallwood looking back to the inside. By the way, while these two continue to duke it out, Mark Beverly has now caught up to the back bumper of Isaac Smallwood. And after being involved in trouble early and going just about all the way to the back of the field, he has mounted a comeback to get all the way back to the front and potentially a chance to battle for the lead here in just about a handful of laps or so. Nathan Somerville, he's up a position from where he started this race. Jesse Calloway behind him. A lot of 2-wide action as, man, Jesse Wise looked like almost tapped the outside wall. Joe Yates in the middle as they thought about going 3 wide. Colton Hardy, though, not quite enough momentum there to make anything work, so he had to actually duck back in line as well, as he's getting ready to be pressured from the 28 of Dennis Steele. Dennis Steele, by the way, is up a single position from where he started this race at, but an overall good run. The driver out of Jacksonville, Florida. Not sure if this is his first season with the Asphalt Outlaws Racing Truck Series, but again, he's had a pretty good go at it, at least so far. Nicholas Lawrence back in 17th, Kevin Winker in 18th, Jonathan Herbert in 19th with Bill Hales, currently rounding out your top 20. Don't forget, still expecting 1 green flag stop if we make it to that point. Now, I should say that the window itself opens right around lap 100, but obviously I don't think any driver is going to go in that soon. Now, with that being the case, maybe you push it to, I don't know, say lap 110 if you've got enough, maybe lap 120. But you don't want to overuse or even, for that matter, underuse either set of tires, because you're going to need them both here, especially if you're trying to run somebody down or potentially defend somebody here for the lead at the end of the race, which is exactly what David Traylor is doing right now to Isaac Smallwood, is trying to hold him off from taking the lead here with 79 laps complete. I mean, Isaac Smallwood just working the top now. It looks like he figured out that if he's able to get that truck in just a little bit higher, doesn't have to worry about getting trapped in as much dirty air as David Traylor is trying to put him in. And now the 5 able to get the left side a little bit lower, getting into turn number 3. By the way, if you've heard me mix these turns up at all here tonight, I mean, I think I've done an okay job with them, but of course, Phoenix Raceway used to be reconfigured differently. The dogleg was the back stretch, and what is now the back stretch used to be the front stretch. So a couple different things there for these guys over the course of the last few years that have been different than they used to be a handful of years or so ago. But still, the racing Phoenix provides, I mean, in terms of the short track category, it's right there with the best of the best. Now, here's a little bit of an interesting case with Keith Prince, who finds himself actually currently being scored as the second to last car on the racetrack in 25th. John Shileno's back in 26th. Now, it looks like the way it's being scored, at least for the moment, is Keith Prince is 4 laps down. So again, not sure what sent him so many laps down. Rick LePage is 3 laps down, and then John Shileno, another driver that's multiple laps down. So, you know, I talked about that stage caution kind of being the great equalizer and helping everybody out that needed a break, but you're not guaranteed another break from this point on. So Keith Prince right now certainly looking like what went from a great qualifying effort with getting the pole to a good start on the race early has all of a sudden turned bad here in a big way, with what's going to be 83 laps now complete when they cross the stripe this time. Isaac Smallwood creeping back into the picture. He's got a good run this time. Going to dive to the inside through the dog leg. No, can't do it. David Traylor still trying to defend for all he's worth, as Smallwood going to try a slide job here. And sliding up is what he did, but wasn't able to slide up enough to get clear of the 54. So that'll cost him some momentum. He ducks back in line, tries it again. So, you know, at this point, if you're Traylor and you realize that the 5 is faster, I mean, I think all he's trying to do is defend him as long as he can. That way, it'll be that many fewer laps before the pit stop that David Traylor will have still stuck in front of Isaac Smallwood, so he can't pull out to as big of a lead. But, I mean, from everything we're seeing right now, it's pretty clear to say that Isaac Smallwood definitely seems to have the best truck here tonight and the best pace of anybody in the field. Mark Beverly, though, Nathan Somerville, 2 other drivers who have been doing a great job, of course, obviously with David Traylor as well. And so let's go back all the way from back to front in terms of your running order for the field here tonight, as things have gotten pretty strung out. John Shileno, who we saw receive damage in an earlier wreck, and he is currently 5 laps down in that 26th position. Keith Prince up in 25th. Rick LePage, you see damage on, wow, quite a few areas to that truck. It's like he hit something with the front end pretty square and pretty hard. He's got that truck a little bit more crumpled than it should be. Lance Thompson in 23rd as he brings his truck down to the pits now. All of a sudden, he's got a lot of damage. And what in the world is going on here? We're getting a lot of issues all of a sudden. Not getting any reports on anything major, but, you know, we're seeing some of the damage some of these guys have sustained. And it doesn't just come out of nowhere here. Let's see where this happens out for the 21. Is he might have been riding around with it for a little while. And yeah, he was too. I mean, he's had this damage for quite a bit of time. And so, with that being the case, must never won it anytime soon and just decided couldn't really race with it anymore. That's why he's bringing it in now. Tough break for Lance. Andrew Hansley, though, in 22nd. Haas Beverly, 21st. Dennis Steele in 20th with Kevin Winker in 19th. Bill Hales, 18th. Jonathan Herbert in 17th. Nicholas Lawrence, 16th. Colton Hardy in 15th. Evan Schilling in 14th with Jesse Wise in 13th. Dylan Paws, 12th. Michael Newman in 11th. And breaking into your top 10, Jeremy Tolley in the 2 truck. Joe Yakes in 9th. Robert Dudley in 8th. Clinton Woodby, 7th. Brody Benty in 6th. Jesse Calloway in 5th with Nathan Somerville in 4th. Mark Beverly in 3rd. Isaac Smallwood in 2nd. And David Traylor currently being scored as your leader still. And boy, it has been such a fun battle to continue to watch here between him and Isaac Smallwood. And the best view we can always give is, of course, from the inside view of the cockpit of the driver in pursuit. And in this case, Isaac Smallwood, I mean, watch what he does here. He's not really going so much for running the fastest line anymore. He's trying to find a way to get around this 54, but he just can't do it. He sends it off into the corner through 1 and 2, but Traylor just rolls so much momentum on the outside that Smallwood can't do anything. Now, this is where he makes it back up. Smallwood is most definitely better than David Traylor, I think, at least through 3 and 4. That time kind of proving me wrong, but that's that's where he's kind of been making up majority of that time and catching Traylor a little bit. And you see, again, the dashboard speeds there as we take a look at the lap times now between Smallwood and Traylor. And it looks like on the majority, actually 3 out of the last 5 laps, it's Traylor who's been slower. But 2 of those laps, Traylor was a little bit faster. Ooh, man, the 24. A little bit of a close call right there as Rick LePage looked like he was starting to move down the track a little bit. 24 is going to stay way out of the way. So Smallwood continues to try to set him up. We didn't have a chance to see a good classic short track battle like this at Martinsville. Boy, we're getting our fill of it here tonight. And Mark Beverly was going to say getting ready to go to work on the 7, but that's actually Nathan Somerville making his way around Mark Beverly. So see if Somerville can go try to track down your leaders. And the other thing here to note, of course, is with that green flag pit stop, along with multiple other things, is at the end of this race, if it comes down to as close as these two are running right now, there's always the option for a little bit of a bump and run. Try to use the chrome horn. Maybe try to shove Trailer just up the track, slightly get him loose, get him out of the groove, and try to go by that way. But right now, Isaac Smallwood continues to show the veteran presence with the patience that he is performing here with David Trailer. I mean, he's had a couple chances where he could have dove it in, tried to slide all the way up, and either hope it works or it doesn't, but he hasn't done so yet. Just keeps kind of following in the tire tracks, stalking, if you will, and just waiting to see if Trailer's going to slip up in one of these sets of corners. Still no dice yet, and you know, I I keep mentioning what Smallwood's doing here, but about the job that David Trailer's doing. I mean, the fact that he's able to defend all of this while still running a pretty fast lap time and trying to avoid lap traffic, it's pretty remarkable that he still holds the lead for the moment. But he's called Mr. Consistency for a reason. The only thing that he hasn't been able to check off the bucket list so far for this season has been to get that first win. You never know, maybe tonight could be his night, depending on if he can hold Smallwood off long enough to get to the pit cycle. But here we go, Smallwood with another charge to the inside. And it looks like Trailer's trying to hold him. Trailer got a little high. Smallwood, he's got a good run here. Both trucks going to dive all the way down to the dog leg. And it looks like Smallwood's trying the slide job. Not going to make it work again. And he'll jot that down in the notebook that no matter what he's trying, he just cannot figure it out, at least on the inside, through 1 and 2. And so Trailer gets back clear, reclaims that spot. About 5, actually making about 10 laps now away from the opening of that pit window. But again, we're not expecting anybody to bring it down for any sort of pit servicing until probably at least lap 110, maybe 120, even 130. I wouldn't be too shocked, but I don't know if they can quite make it that far at this point. 4 sets of tires. We know for sure everybody's used at least 1. I believe everybody's got 2. You know you're going to use 1 on this green flag pit stop. And then that would save you 1 set remaining, of course, for the end of this race. Or if we were to get that late caution more so, that's when you would consider going in to take those tires. And the fall off, it's been pretty great. I mean, a mile in length is this track. Lap times, I believe, were in the 30s, but we'll get a better idea of this once we see them come out on fresh tires versus what will have been old tires just before they pit. But right now, 27.8 is the general pace, at least for your leader, David Trailer. Now, if we go further back here, actually, we're going to go to the blimp cam, zoom this out a little bit, and see kind of what we've got going on everywhere around the racetrack. Mostly single file action. We've got a couple of 2x2 battles, but overall, this is just kind of that put your head down and just kind of get the job done portion of the race where everybody's just trying to tick off laps, get to what's going to be that final green flag pit stop before you set yourself up to try to make any risky moves. And here's the 99 and the 69. Jesse Wise, Dylan Pause continues to slip back in the wrong direction. And now getting ready to be under fire here from the 8 of Nicholas Lawrence. Lawrence not going to be able to make a move this time. He'll have to tuck back up in line. Haven't had a chance to talk about what points we're looking like just yet coming into the night. I mean, we've had a couple shakeups. Shouldn't come really as, of course, too big of a surprise, at least right now, with the man that is leading in points at the moment, and that is, well, the man that's the man that's got the most wins, Isaac Smallwood. And again, no surprise that he's leading in points. David Trailer 2nd, Braden Avila in 3rd, Eric Hegdahl 4th, Joe Yates 5th, Keith Prince in 6th, Kevin Winker 7th, Mark Beverly 8th, Bill Hales 9th, and Jay Stinson currently rounding out your top 10 for the way points stand, at least for now. Now, as for your schedule, again, honestly, I'd say about the last 3 weeks or so, it's been a pretty brutal sequence of racetracks for a lot of these guys. I think they're excited to see what's ahead on the schedule and try to get out of some of these tougher tracks that we've been going to. And so next week's going to be a fun one. Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We go to the Brickyard. Make sure you tune in. I'm telling you, that is going to be a really, really good one. These trucks are a blast to drive there and watch. There's not a lot of necessarily side-by-side racing, but the way you set up passes there is in an art of itself. Of course, it's a very high-speed, high-banked track. 2.5 miles, similar length to Daytona, but race is different. Home of the Indianapolis 500. And then after we get that race over with, After the Brickyard's done, we're going to head to Texas Motor Speedway, followed by Iowa, and then just like that, we will be at the end of the regular season for the regular season finale at Daytona International Speedway, Legacy Daytona though, and that will be on May 3rd. Then we'll kick off the round of 16 at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, followed by Richmond and then Michigan, and then we'll head off to the round of 10. We'll go to Charlotte Motor Speedway, followed by Bristol Motor Speedway, Talladega Super Speedway, the last race before the championship, and then the Championship 5. Again, notice what I said there. The Championship 5, not 4. Can have a chance to duke it out in Kansas, the final race of the season. You saw another charge there from Isaac Smallwood on David Traylor, but again, just could not quite find any way to make it work. David Traylor continues to play and do a masterful job here of defense on the 5, and now you see Smallwood working up the racetrack. I mean, this has been honestly just about the first track that we have been to so far this year where it seems like, you know, the guy in second maybe has more speed than the leader, but the leader is able to hold them off for this long. We'll see if they're able to continue that way. Somerville still in 3rd, Bart Beverly in 4th, Jesse Calloway in 5th, Joe Yates 6th, Brody Benty 7th, Robert Dudley in 8th, Clinton Woodby still inside the top 10, he's in 9th, and Michael Newman currently rounding out your top 10. Take a ride on board here with Michael Newman, who currently is giving a little bit of chase right here to Clinton Woodby. See, he's got a lot of gap to work with. In fact, it's really Woodby who's doing the chasing right now. A couple guys just in front of him, including Robert Dudley and Brody Benty. Michael Newman, one of the guys that usually carries onboard camera for us just about all the time. That's the view he's got. Compare that to the view that Mark Beverly's got. It's pretty similar. Mark Beverly, though, of course, up in that 4th position for the moment, trying to track down Nathan Somerville, and you see just how much wheel he's putting into the truck. Tells me this thing's starting to get pretty tight, and you might be hoping that we can get to this pit stop here sooner than later. Of course, put on what could, well, it's not going to be your final set of tires tonight, but it's going to be your planned final set, of course, if we stay green. Here's a pass for 4th. Jesse Calloway working to the inside here of Mark Beverly. Not going to be able to complete the pass down the front stretch here. Dives it in to turn number 1. Not able to get clear. Beverly still rolling. Plenty of momentum to stay side by side off of turn number 2. Further back we go. Now we're starting to see a couple guys get put a lap down here. Colton Hardy being one of those guys. And the fuel window, rather, I'm not going to say the pit window, but the fuel window is now open. So it's just a matter of time before we start getting some of those green flag pit stops. Now we've already put guys, looks like about 20th or so on back. A lap down as Jeremy Tolley actually, I think, is making his pit stop here. Yeah, sure enough he is. So first guy really to kind of come down. We may have had a couple of stragglers before him, but the point is, maybe we do see a couple of earlier stops here. David Traylor still out on track, looking confident. Isaac Smallwood, and now, how about this? Looks like David Traylor, maybe he's actually starting to stretch that gap out just a little bit. And you wonder if this is the benefits of clean air once we get to the later portions in the run. Tell you what, if Traylor's able to pull away here, that is a huge deal, and he's going to be taking valuable note of that and making sure that if him and Isaac Smallwood get to battling after the pit cycles, he's going to be fighting for all he's worth to take that lead and have that clean air, because, boy, as you can see here, clean air, once tires wear to a certain point, all of a sudden starts to dominate and becomes a lot easier to pull away from everybody else. So as the 54 continues to scoot away, we talked about Jeremy Tolley making his final pit stop of the night, at least final scheduled pit stop of the night, as Andrew Hansley got a bit off pace here in the 29, but I think he's just gone high. And there is Jeremy Tolley, give you an early idea of what the lap time difference is looking like right here. So Jeremy Tolley here, this will be his first lap under new tires. Now, he did get caught with some lap traffic, so this doesn't do it complete justice, but nonetheless puts down a 27.2, and I think he would have been more like a 27 flat, maybe actually even a 26 there. 27.7 right now for Traylor, so certainly some fall off, but the question of how much fall off varying a little bit right now in of itself. Here we go, Michael Newman, who a little while ago when we checked in saw Clinton Woodby as a bit of a smaller figure outside of his windshield, but now has caught up to the 92. He's looking to try to see if he can complete a pass there on the inside. As they cross the stripe, 12 goes all the way down to the apron. It looks like he's going to be able to do so. Michael Newman, oh! They went into the pit area there now. Interestingly enough, back this up one more time. I believe that is legal. And, you know, I know we've seen it tonight, but for some reason it just caught my eye, and that's why I want to bring it up real quick. Notice where the exit of the pits are. Normally, you get this low, it counts as a penalty. Not here at Phoenix. In fact, yeah, he's good to go that low there. There will be no penalty, I don't believe, as it is the dogleg enabled. So nothing wrong there for Michael Newman. Nicely done, and was able to pick up that position though. In fact, the 92 has got back around, so not sure if he slipped up here in 1 and 2 or what the deal was. Down the back, he'll try to regroup, see if he can make some progress. All right, here we go. Pit stops now for the leaders underway as Brody Benty has made it down to the pits, as has the 54 of David Traylor. And Traylor's the big one to keep an eye on right here, because we are very curious to see how this 54 machine is going to come out in relation to where he came in comparison to Isaac Smallwood, I should say. So we'll have to wait for that 5 truck to pit, but looks like relatively short pitting strategy here for David Traylor. And, you know, I'm not sure. Normally when we see a guy in the lead, usually they don't pit until guys from behind have made a pit stop, but he's going with the bold strategy here. We'll see if it works out. Clinton Woodby, he brings it down now for service, as does Michael Newman and Bill Hales. Isaac Smallwood still out on track, as are multiple others. Brody Benty in the pits. Andrew Hansley as well. See Lance Thompson as he's getting some more damage on his truck repaired. So Isaac Smallwood still yet to pit. And so he now leads here at Phoenix, has a 2.8 second gap over Nathan Somerville, who sits in second. There you see the 2 of Jeremy Tolley going to see if he can get a lap back from these guys. Look at the speed. Rolls the inside. I mean, it's lights out. The difference is easily noticeable. And we're going to go back to David Traylor here, because I know he'll have some good lap times to put down, as Mark Beverly has now made a pit stop. Nicholas Lawrence, Jesse Wise. Talked about Evan Schilling bringing it down. Bill Hales, Brody Benty still in the pits. Got to wonder if they potentially get a penalty. Still no sign of pitting just yet for your leader, Isaac Small. We're gonna be coming up here on about 25 laps to go, or excuse me, I apologize, 45 laps to go in just about 3 laps. So getting to that point now where you maybe want to really start thinking about it, especially if you're Isaac Smallwood, since you've already seen David Traylor pit. By the way, let's go check out those lap times for David Traylor. 27 flat that last time around. That was his first lap on new tires. Let's see what we got here for one more this time. And looks like David Traylor is going to put down a 26.8. Now you compare that up front here to a 27.8. That's a second of fall off. Not as much as we've seen on certain tracks, but certainly still plenty of fall off. And it's going to become noticeable here. The longer that Isaac Smallwood stays out, the further and further behind he is going to be in relation to David Traylor once he does finally make that pit stop. Saw the 88 there of Jonathan Herbert. Boy, he's got quite a bit of damage in multiple different places on that race truck, as I think he's hit a couple different things here tonight. We saw him involved in an accident, and now he's probably just trying to hold on the rest of the way. Bill Hales going by on new tires as well. Now, depending on where these guys catch lap traffic, reckon 2 of them around the 49, Robert Dudley and Jonathan Herbert. Herbert spins back up the racetrack as Dudley is able to keep it down. And, well, so much for strategy, as now that's going to bring an end to the green flag pit stops. And, oh, man, that's a horrible break for David Traylor and really everybody else that has already made that pit stop, because you see they are all currently trapped a lap down. Now, the good news, of course, is that no matter what, Isaac Smallwood can't make it the entire way on fuel, so don't have to worry about him trying to stay out here or anything like that. What they do have to worry about, though, which is going to cost here pretty big time now, is the fact that they're not going to come out as the leader. I mean, David Traylor, he's not going to come out as the leader because he's going to get the wave around or the lucky dog either way, and that'll put him at the end of the longest line, as will everybody. So he may be kind of close to the front here, but it's certainly, well, I said, yeah, he should get the wave around right here. But the bigger point is that, yeah, David Traylor did not want to see that caution. Isaac Smallwood certainly did. And that's going to potentially give him the lead with fresh tires, exactly what he needed for about a 45-lap run. Now let's go see exactly where it all goes wrong here for the 49 of Dudley and the 88 of Jonathan Herbert. Now these two were kind of out of the way, it seemed like, and then all of a sudden, next thing you knew, they were wrecking each other into the outside wall. And as they get into the corner, Robert Dudley, I'm not really sure about that one. I mean, Dudley gets really, really high into the corner here. You know, you got to assume maybe he was just getting out of the way for these guys. And then Herbert is going to go, and Herbert decides to Well, no, I take that back. Herbert didn't split the middle. He just gets a little bit tight in amongst himself, and then instead of waiting for the truck to rotate enough to come back down, he just kind of washes up the hill here, and 49 of Robert Dudley's there. That gets them connected. The right rear of Herbert into the left front of Robert Dudley, and there's a contact to the outside wall. Pretty heavy contact at that. Slide down. They were lucky nobody else was coming along as the accident happened, because that could have certainly collected quite a few more. Let's get a couple more angles of this one here. Well, it doesn't take much, but yeah, that's a really big hit, especially for Herbert. That might bring his night to an end. Don't know if I saw smoke out of the back, though, so he may be able to continue. And then here's that TV2 view. Boom. Shoots that truck right out of the safer barrier as Robert Dudley almost net codes inside of it. Nicholas Lawrence, Jeremy Tolley had just got around it as this wreck happened. And then, man, it has just been a really, really rough night for Herbert. And it's just made Robert Dudley's night, which was going okay there for a while, a lot harder. So he's going to have to go get that damage fixed up. There's a view from the TV static cam. I'll give you one more look here from Nathan Somerville, actually, who saw this one and was maybe a little bit too close for comfort here as these two wrecked. He sees it up in the distance, and that's how all they go. They start to slide down, so he goes up, and then Herbert does spin back up, but nice job there by Somerville to get by this one without any further issues. And so we do go back up front, but what a shakeup here. It's actually Kevin Winker who's currently being scored as your leader. Isaac Smallwood in second, Nathan Somerville third, Dylan Paws in fourth, Dennis Steele fifth, David Traylor in sixth, Jesse Calloway seventh, Colton Hardy in eighth, Mark Beverly ninth, and Joe Yakes currently rounding out your top 10. But Race Control has a mess right now. They are still trying to figure out how to get all these guys that need to get waved around, and getting everybody that shouldn't be in the middle of the pack to the back of the pack. I mean, this is a mess still as they all continue to try to figure this one out. Boy, that is, again, not what David Traylor wanted to see. It seemed like everything was setting itself up. So honestly, we're pretty much perfectly there for the 54, but now all of a sudden, it's going to have a lot more work to do. I was going to get an interview with him, but since we're going back green this time, we're going to go ahead and let him stay focused. As the pace car pulls off, I don't know if they're going to make the restart in time here. Looks like we still got guys trying to get organized. Won't be too shocked if this one gets waved off here. And you see the back of the pack really shuffling here, doing anything they can to try to catch up. And I just don't know if they're all going to get there. Looks like it's going to be close enough, because here we go, back into the restart zone. Green flag back in the air. 41 laps to go at Phoenix. Good restart. Nathan Somerville looking 3 wide as he dives all the way down on the dogleg to the inside wall. And boy, what a move by the 7, but he gets in way too hot. Oh my goodness, that was going to end in disaster. Isaac Smallwood, though, checked up, tried a crossover, and he just saved potentially his day along with Somerville and a couple others' day. Man, that was a really aggressive move by the 7, and I mean, I give him props in the sense of it worked, but just not quite the right time. And Smallwood there gets into his left rear a little bit, maybe saying, hey man, I didn't appreciate that move too much. Don't do that anymore. Now Joe Yakes still in Paws going at it. By the way, Paws is up to 4th. He had a great qualifying effort, qualified 6th, but now 2 spots up from that is that pit sequence. And when the caution came out, really shook the standings up here quite a bit. You see David Traylor, who was leading coming into the pit stops, he is now all the way back. And, you know, I mean, when you look at it, he's in 6th. The problem is he's got all these lap trucks separating. You see, it did not get that many guys their lap back. In fact, Joe Yakes, who's in 10th, all the way on back, are still being scored a lap down. So that's why I think you're seeing a lot of them fight as hard as they are, as we now have 3 wide here, almost 4 wide off of turn number 2. Clinton Woodby, Michael Newman, the 28 of Dennis Steele, and the 42 of Kevin Winker. Winker continues to fall back. I wonder if he stayed out here just to get a lead lap back and maybe had older tires, or if the truck just wasn't handling. Back to 3 wide they go as they fan out again. On the dogleg, Dylan Paws, Michael Newman side by side. Winker and Schilling. It looks like Joe Yakes has just pulled away from this mess as Paws. He'll get a run and try to get clear here of Michael Newman. And so now back to the front of the field. The battle on. It almost looks like the same cat and mouse game here that we saw between David Traylor and Isaac Smallwood during that last run, but this time it's going to be between the rookie Nathan Somerville and Isaac Smallwood. And now we already saw Somerville make a move that was maybe borderline a little bit questionable. You knew Isaac probably not too happy with it, so I'm sure Isaac's maybe keeping that in his back pocket here if he has to end up giving just a little bit of a nudge to the 7 at some point. Be saying, hey man, remember what you got me with earlier? I'm just returning the favor. But we're going to be hitting 35 laps to go here in just a couple laps. And so, man, this thing's really going to start winding down here shortly. And if you're that 7, you got to think about defending as hard as you can at this point, because if that 5 truck gets by, I think this thing's just about all said and done. Somerville doing exactly what he needs to do. Textbook in terms of how to defend here at Phoenix. Rolling the high lane through 1 and 2, back to the bottom, and 3 and 4. And Isaac Smallwood tried a bunch of different lines, but so far just has not quite had enough. Now, you saw that Smallwood did work that top lane through 3 and 4, and looks like it gave him a little bit of momentum to work with here. By the time he gets to 1 and 2, though, it becomes a stalemate as he gets trapped in the dirty air. Behind that 7 truck. Further back, still a lot of side-by-side, but quickly, single files actually almost in sync there as they enter the back straight away. That was the 2 of Jeremy Tolley, who was looking for a pass. The 3 of Keith Prince looking to do the same. And again, with this many trucks a lap down, and now that the leaders have pit, they're not going to be pitting again. Well, I take that back. It might depend here. If you're Isaac Smallwood, you've got a couple options depending on when we get a caution. So we'll see what he does. If we get a late caution, maybe you pit for tires. If we get one pretty soon, maybe you don't, and you stay out to keep as many people as you can trapped a lap down. So that's less guys that you're racing for track position. Now, I think if you're one of the guys that are a lap down, at least under that last caution, and you were stuck a lap down, you should have took that last set of tires. Just do whatever you can here to try to get back on the lead lap. And Joe Yates looks like he's the guy doing that, but I mean, even if he does get this lead lap back, he's still going to need a caution. And if he used his last set of tires in the process, I just don't know if he's going to have anything to have a shot here at the end. But he's doing what he's got to do, as is Nathan Somerville. 34 laps now, or 134 laps now complete. Smallwood still in chase, and really all night the battle for the lead has continuously been the best battle on the racetrack. Dylan Paws side by side now with Keith Prince. That is not for position at the moment. Actually, I take that. Well, Dylan Paws is up in 5th. There's just, I mean, you can see on the scoring tower with the amount of guys a lap down, it's a mess here. Trying to figure out who's where. Definitely, these guys, anybody a lap down or more is hoping that we start getting a bunch of cautions and we start getting them in a hurry. And I'm still not going to rule out the possibility of getting one with the way these two go at it. But, ooh, Smallwood got a great corner there. Was able to roll a little bit lower. Draws even. Oh, my goodness. Had to just slot in line behind the 7 of Somerville. I think Nathan's truck is starting to struggle a little bit here. This is where Smallwood is really going to try to get him. And Smallwood with another big dive to the inside. Is this one enough? Drag race all the way down to turn number 1. If we go to the cockpit view, you see he has to back his corner up top, but Smallwood still only in the side window, not in the front windshield just yet. So that means Somerville gets another great run. Smallwood looking for a bit of a side draft. He's going to commit to the inside. Somerville cuts him off. What a block from Nathan Somerville. That got Isaac Smallwood tight. I'm telling you, though, this 5 truck, I think he's about had enough of the rookie's aggressiveness. But Somerville's doing what he's got to do, and it's working out in a big way here. And he was clear. I mean, Smallwood makes the move. Somerville says, I don't think you quite have the run to do that. And he jumps down. Smallwood gets tight on exit. I mean, that's just really, really good short track racing right there from both of these guys. And, well, Smallwood, I think he's maybe had enough. Finally gave him the chrome horn there, that time off of turn number 2. Oh, now they're beating and banging down the front stretch. Smallwood and Somerville getting together 3 wide. Joe Yates trying to get around both to get his lap back. Isaac Smallwood now the preferred groove. He's looking for a crossover here on Somerville. Something's going to have to give here. These tempers, they're not going to last for too much longer. I think Isaac Smallwood has had enough of Nathan Somerville. They're going to get into each other maybe again. No, Somerville still holds on. Boy, you would think this is about the last 2 laps with the way these guys are racing right now. And the harder they continue to race, you start to ask yourself, where's the 3rd place truck? Dennis Steele, over 2 seconds back. So these guys have plenty of a cushion as now Somerville's actually going to drive back clear of Joe Yates. And so that puts a little bit of breathing room, at least for a moment, between the 7 truck and the 5 truck. As you know, Joe Yates is probably not going to consider moving the 7 as he's going for a lap back, not necessarily track position. But he does dive down. Smallwood's going to drop low as well, looking for a draft. Nothing doing. Man, oh man. I've seen a lot of Phoenix races in my life, and I've certainly not seen, or excuse me, in my year broadcasting more so in iRacing, and I have not seen something quite like what I am seeing here tonight. This has been outstanding. Can Nathan Somerville, the rookie, hold on to grab his first win going up against the best of the best? And the man who's been the most dominant all season, he's going to have to hold on for 25 more laps, and they are going to be the 25 most stressful laps all season. See if we can hop back on board here with the 5 of Isaac Smallwood as he continues to try to chase. And you wonder, are one of these guys using their stuff up a little bit more than the other? At what point does one guy's truck start to maybe finally give up here as we get into the long run portion of this race? Smallwood dropping low again. Does he draw even? Ooh, this time he does. Gets another good run. Is he going to try a slide job right here? To the inside, looking to get clear. Can't do it. Somerville still up top. Off of 2, no dice. They're going to drag race all the way down the back, but Smallwood set himself up here for a good entry into 3 and 4. And the 7's putting it on his door. Smallwood finally going to get clear. He does. Isaac Smallwood, new leader with 23 laps to go at Phoenix. Oh, Somerville, though, he's looking for another crossover. He got into the turn there, realized that he was going to overshoot it, quickly bailed out. Nice job there by Nathan Somerville to not overdo it. And now he's going to have to try to chase the man that was chasing him here for about the last 20 laps or so. I just don't know if that 7 truck has anything left. We saw once earlier in this race, about the first half, once Smallwood took the lead, I mean, he just never looked back. He just needed that clean air and was able to pull away. And it did seem like, for what it's worth, that the 5 still had the faster truck in that battle. It was just, it's so hard to play offense here when you got a guy running the top lane as Somerville was doing. And he did a great job at it for a while, but now that Smallwood has reclaimed the lead, he just doesn't want to see a caution here for about these next 21 laps. Dennis Steele still 2.7 seconds back. Now David Traylor, he's back up to 4, still working his way through some of the lap traffic, but he's just about 4 seconds behind your leader. And I just don't know that I really see any way for him to get all the way back to the front in this short of a time span. So doesn't look like things are going to work out, but as we do hit 20 laps to go this time as they cross the stripe, take one more chance to go through your running order through the field, or we keep it up front, or towards the front rather, for the rest of the way. Lance Thompson looks like he's going to finish in 26 as he has retired his truck for the race. John Shileno is still multiple laps down, and you know, we're not going to comment everybody that's a lap down because you can see it on your scoring pylon. It's from about 9th back as it stands at the moment. But John Shileno in 25th, Rick LePage in 24th, Jonathan Herbert in 23rd, Keith Prince 22nd, Andrew Hansley 21st with Brody Venti in 20th, Haas Beverly 19th, Kevin Winker in 18th, Jeremy Tolley 17th, Robert Dudley 16th, Nicholas Lawrence in 15th with Bill Hales in 14th, Jesse Wise 13th, Clinton Woodby in 12th, Evan Schilling in 11th, Michael Newman in 10th, Joe Yates 9th, Colton Hardy in 8th, Mark Beverly in 7th, Jesse Calloway in 6th, Dylan Paws 5th, David Traylor in 4th, Dennis Steele in 3rd, Nathan Somerville still holding on to 2nd, pretty strong, and Isaac Smallwood is your leader here at Phoenix. By the way, he's stretched that gap now since he was able to take the lead up to already almost a second, 7/10 of a second to be exact for the moment. And doesn't look like, at least according to the track map, that he's got any lap traffic here within probably about the next 5 to 10 laps. He might catch a couple more guys before this race is over, but doesn't look like it should be an issue. And again, really nothing to hinder the 5 from capturing another victory at this point tonight, besides the potential for a caution, which we've seen it before, so of course you can't ever rule it out. Right now, things looking pretty optimistic for Isaac Smallwood to go back-to-back. After, of course, he got the win last week at Mid-Ohio. Man, what a win it was, but it seems like you just cannot find a way to stop this guy. Now, Jay Stinson got it at Kentucky, so it's not going to be 3 in a row, but, I mean, looking at the wins that Smallwood has had here from the start of the season, first one came at Homestead, Miami. That was number 1. Number 2 came at Pocono. Number 3 came at Watkins Glen, the first road course. Number 4 came at Dover. Number 5 came at Auto Club. Number 6 came at Martinsville. Number 7 at Mid-Ohio. And now looking for number 8 here tonight. And we're only in week 14, so he has already won over half the races that we have ran so far this season. Just showing you the true dominance, again, that Smallwood has been able to figure out with Mo Power, and the teammates he's had working with have been showing similar progress. Eric Hegdahl, of course, already with a couple wins on the season. Braden Avila has came really, really close a couple times. Just hasn't quite had enough. Now, I did notice that time around, Somerville was shaking it up a little bit there. Through 3 and 4, he's trying something a little different. The rookie's looking to see if he can make anything work here. In fact, look at the blimp cam. Shows these two trucks. The big area where he's trying something different is 3 and 4, and looked like he just worked up a lane higher. We'll see if Smallwood tries to counter that here. Watch the 7. Man, he is really, really sending it through the corner, and you know, it's working a little bit right now, but he is scrubbing off those front tires. You wonder how long that's going to last. It gains him time, you know, through the first half of the track. The problem is he loses it over here in 3 and 4, and so it's kind of negating the impact that it's really making here, and he's just not making it up. But certainly like to see him searching around, as at a certain point, if you can't find anything else, that's what you got to do. That's exactly what he is doing at the moment. While we have a quick chance, head over and talk about what's up next. And actually, this is just after this race here tonight. Race 2 for Super Speedway Kings over on PGR Esports. That one will be broadcasted live by Dawson Wise and Ken McCullough Jr. Look at the payouts: 250 to first, 225 to second, 200 to third, 160 to fourth and fifth. I will be racing in that one, but in general, make sure you go check it out. Should be a fun one to watch. And then next place goes to Racing Network is going to head. Will of course be tomorrow night, or excuse me, actually not tomorrow night. Noma taking a week off, so it will be on Monday night with the Fast Track Sim Racing Cup Series, as they will be, I believe, heading to Martinsville. That's going to be another good one as well, so make sure you tune in for that. All right, closing in on what's going to be the final 10 laps here at Phoenix. And got to get all the way to the white flag, by the way, for this race to be declared official. That's still 9 laps away, and 9 laps too many for Isaac Smallwood. Again, he's got plenty of a gap, 1.10 seconds. Problem is, if we get a caution, that gap gets negated. As we go back a little bit towards the middle portions of the field, all the side-by-side action we have, the problem with it is that none of it's for position. 69 and Jesse Wise, Mark Beverly, they were 2x2 right there for a moment, but they get it sorted out, as looks like Handley is up the track a little bit there as well through 1 and 2. Joe Yakes looks like he started to fade now a bit, and so David Traylor is still sitting in fourth. But next up is Dennis Steele, and the 54 may be able to get there. Don't know if he's quite going to be able to get up to Nathan Somerville, though, not with just 9 laps to go at least. This will be a season best finish, at least as it stands right now, for Dennis Steele. If he can hold on to this podium, going to be looking, or it's going to have to be playing a little bit of defense here probably before it's all said and done, though, like I said, because David Traylor, he's on the move, and I think he's going to get there. Jesse Calloway, not quite going to be able to do so. Good news here for Steele is that there is 2 trucks right now separating him and David Traylor that David's going to have to get around before he has to worry about that. But 8 laps is still enough time here. 16 corners and 8 miles in total left to go here. 165 was the scheduled distance here tonight. And we had a couple cautions early and just about 1 or 2 since then. But I mean, overall, Phoenix did not disappoint. It has been a very, very clean race tonight, all things considered. After what we saw at Martinsville earlier in the season, you can tell these guys made sure to put in some extra practice for tonight, and it's looking like it is paying off for a lot of them, including Isaac Smallwood. Going to be coming to 6 laps to go this next time. Still sitting in cruise control for the moment, and you know, I almost wonder as a driver, at this point, when you've got this big of a lead, you know that you're not going to get caught. As much as you're trying to get to that white flag, you're always worried about that caution in the back of your mind. So do you maybe back down this pace a little bit here? Try to save those tires just in case we do get that yellow and you have to stay out. That way at least you've got something to work with. And I don't know, right now it doesn't seem like Isaac Smallwood's worried about saving anything. He just wants to continue to go forward. As here we go, David Traylor, he has arrived just about. Oh man, the announcer's jinx, caution is out. And this race is not over just yet. We had one go around, I believe, was that Jeremy Tolley? Couldn't tell, I think it was. Yeah, the 2 truck comes to a rolling stop on the front straightaway, and that truck looks to be pretty banged up. Oh, Michael Newman piles in. Michael Newman, never saw him coming. They are still wrecking. Oh my goodness, what happened there? And all of a sudden, that is going to bring Michael Newman's race to an end. Man, I just don't think he saw him. I think he was maybe looking down at his black box. I'm not sure. He can't believe it. The whole race, for it to end like that, oh my goodness, the disappointment is there. He is not pleased, and you cannot blame him. He can't, I mean, I'm in disbelief just watching. I cannot believe what we just saw here. Well, let's go back first and see how the actual wreck itself starts. Jeremy Tolley and Robert Dudley racing pretty hard here. I'm not sure if this was for position at the time or not, but coming off of turn number 4 here as they cross the stripe. Ooh, 49 comes down. Not clear. Not sure if he thought that Jeremy Tolley had went below the apron down to the dog leg, or if he thought he was going to be able to tuck in behind, but he was not clear. That turns Jeremy Tolley up hard under the outside wall. That explains why the truck was stopped. I mean, this thing is broke. Boom, destroyed. And when it bounces off the wall here, it rolls, but I mean, he is pretty stationary, all things considered. This was a good while after the caution, too, and then here comes Michael Newman as the two comes to kind of a halt here, and big head of steam, tries to turn out of the way last second. Wow, what an impact. As you see the rear bumper go flying for Jeremy Tolley, the hood gone on Michael Newman. Let's go back and get an onboard view here with a Michael Newman through this, and if you don't hear any lift in here, I think that'll tell the story in terms of he was probably looking down at his black box, but watch the caution lights here. There you go, caution's out at this point. You see he's slowing up at this point. He's slow. I mean, if we're looking out of the front windshield, you can see the 2 truck stopped right now, looking down at the track. You see it. And he just never did, so yeah, I'm really not sure there. My best guess for the moment is that he was looking down at his black box, but continues some of the oddities that we've seen here tonight. That's definitely a first for me here. Give you one more angle of this one before we go back live of the contact for Jeremy Tolley. There's a big shot off the inside wall, or the outside wall rather, and then speed it up here just a little bit later as 2 comes to just about a halt. Here's where we're going to see that second hit, and this was the big one here. Michael Newman, watch the airtime Jeremy Tolley gets from this. All 4 tires, at least 3 of them, off the ground there for just a moment. And now, with that caution, we are going to be heading into overtime. And all of a sudden, Nathan Somerville, he's got a chance at it yet again. He's going to line up on the outside, Isaac Smallwood on the inside. I'll tell you what here, if Somerville can get a good restart and hold it pretty close to the door of Smallwood all the way down to 1 and 2, he might have a shot if he's able to hold that outside through the first set of corners. But if Smallwood gets clear, I don't know if Somerville's going to have enough. What I do know is it's going to come probably all the way down to the checkers with what we've seen tonight, and we are excited for it. Got to make it again, though, to the white flag for this race to be official. Important to note, we did have just about everybody come in and take tires, at least in terms of your leaders. So everybody's on fresh rubber. It's going to be a classic sprint to the finish. Here we go. Back into the restart zone. 2 laps to go. Green flag back in the air at Phoenix. It's a phenomenal restart for Isaac Smallwood. David Traylor follows in suit. Traylor gets clear. You know he wants revenge on this one. Felt like he had a great shot early. After that caution, got sent to the back due to pit strategy, but now he's back towards the front with a chance here, but he's only going to have about a lap and a half left to go to do it. Somerville now stuck on the outside. He tries to throw a block here on Mark Beverly. Traylor fades a little bit. Somerville dives it in. Oh, he sends it way too deep. He turns Traylor hard up into the outside wall goes David Traylor, brings the caution back out. And there goes any chance of David Traylor trying to get the win. And he's not going to be too happy about this one, I have a feeling. Gets back rolling, no damage in the front. It's all in the back as he backed it into the outside wall. That damage probably, well, it's not even the damage as so much it is the fact that it's probably going to bring his night to an end now because he just doesn't have, or he's not going to have any track position. And man, oh man. We got reports here that there may have been another incident here. Yeah, with Michael Newman, who I guess was just driving out of the pits when this all happened here and went back to the inside wall. But here we go. We got to go back and, I mean, this is just, I think this is just a mistake here from the rookie, but, you know, he may have had a run here, so let's take a view. Oh, he does. That's exactly what's going to happen here. The 7, he's got a big run. Throws a block on Mark Beverly that, man, just barely cleared. Not sure if Mark had a lift for him there, but he gets clear. It's not by much, and he's going to take that run here, try to dive it in on the inside of David Traylor. Now, it looks like the 7 definitely has room in the corner here, but he just gets too hot into the corner. I mean, Traylor definitely leaves him plenty of room down there, at least from everything I've seen here. You know, when you're 2x2 in this case, if you're on the bottom, you're going to have to wrap the double yellow. There's a guy up top, and 7's trying to get in here hot. There, he gets in, just gets in too hot. That was the view from David Traylor, but I'll give you the view here now from Nathan Somerville. And, you know, the move was great. It worked all the way up till right about here. Here's the gearbox view first of the move where he gets clear by Mark Beverly. Oh, my goodness. I mean, barely. But then just clips him. Back that up for you one more time here. And so at this point, you got to get down to the double yellow. He doesn't. And Traylor is still above that first seam, and Somerville just gets into him. Caution comes out. This thing's not over just yet. Give you one more angle of this here from TV2. Man. And you know that Somerville obviously didn't mean to do it. It was just really aggressive racing. He was another guy that had a great shot here at the end to potentially win it, and no more, as now it'll put a couple of fresh faces back to the front with a chance to win it here tonight. Isaac Smallwood, who of course has probably been the favorite up to this point. Mark Beverly up to second though. Jesse Calloway third. Colton Hardy fourth. Dylan Paws rounding out your top 5. And by the way, looks like Michael Newman in the chat letting us know. Definitely took my eyes off the screen, not expecting someone to be stopped. And yeah, it was certainly one of those ones that catch you kind of off guard. It almost, to a degree, looked like you couldn't see it super well unless you were actually focused on it, which of course we are when we're taking a replay. And so, yeah, it's just a tough break overall for Michael Newman. But now, Isaac Smallwood's got to try to hold them all off again, as this will be our second of 3 green-white checkered attempts. And so, same rules apply. Got to get to the white flag for this race to be official. If we don't, rack them up and we can try this thing one more time. That's Jeff Marble. He's saying it in the chat right there. Oh no, devastating to the Michael Newman thing. And then now, the most recent incident says not good, and yeah, you got that right. I think David Traylor, like I said, if we had a driver cam, it would not be a too happy of an expression right now from David Traylor after that one. After him and the rookie tangle. But here we go, going to try this thing again. Can Mark Beverly time the restart well, get going, get even, hang even rather, with Isaac Smallwood and potentially have a chance to steal his second win of the season? Getting ready to find out. Green flag back in the air. 2 laps to go at Phoenix. It's a phenomenal restart from Isaac Smallwood. Ooh, Mark Beverly might have changed lanes right there. I'm not sure what the rule is against that as they fan out 3 and 4 wide behind. See David Traylor in the mix, but I just don't think he's got enough time. Wrecking out back. Caution will come back out. Trouble further back in the field. Looks like it was Bill Hales. And I believe, is that Jesse Wise? I think it is. Yeah, sure enough, the 69 truck. This will now send us into our 3rd and final overtime attempt here on the night. I believe it'll be our 3rd. Yep, sure enough. So all of a sudden, after all the green flag racing we had, things getting a little bit crazy here towards the end. A couple of the late cautions, but I mean, cautions breed cautions. We know how this works at these kind of tracks, and let's back this up and do this from the chopper view here. And watch this here. Is it just, I mean, they're 3 wide in front of this mess. And then watch Jesse Wise and Bill Hales. You see Bill Hales in the 53. I think Jesse's just got a big run and runs up on the back one there. Maybe not expecting to have that much of a run. Turns Bill Hales around, gets him up by the outside wall, and then Jesse Wise comes to a halt up there as well. Just from a bit of a different angle. It looked like a really, really big checkup. I'll tell you what here. Let's ride on board with Jesse Wise. And, you know, in Bill Hale's defense, he's got nowhere to go here, so he's checking up even more. And Yeah, I think that's just a little bit of misjudgment there by Jesse. Of course, not really expecting that big of a checkup. That's what kind of sparked that contact and led to the 53 getting turned around. If you want more view of this here from TV3. And once Bill Hale's loops goes into the outside wall, lucky that nobody else gets collecting. This is, man, Haas, Beverly, Keith Prince. I didn't actually notice that, but they got together. That sent Haas Beverly into the outside wall pretty hard. He was also, looks like, able to get back rolling. So all in all, that one going to go down as a 2-truck incident. And now back at the front. Pace car still with the lights on. We'll see if they flip off this time and give us the 1-to-go signal. It is still Isaac Smallwood being scored as your leader. Mark Beverly in second. Beverly's going to have one more shot here to time up a restart to try to have something here for Isaac Smallwood. Jesse Calloway back in third. Dylan Paul's fourth. Joe Yates in fifth. Dennis Steele in sixth. David Traylor seventh. Evan Schilling eighth. Kevin Winker ninth. Nicholas Lawrence rounding out your top 10. All right, we're getting ready to go back green here. Let's see if we can get a quick word with Mark Beverly. Hey, Mark, this is Austin up in the booth. Get a copy.
Yeah, what's going on?
Try him one more time. Hey, Mark, this is Austin in the booth. Get a copy.
Yeah, what's up, Austin?
There we go. Sorry, I had to adjust a couple things. All right, well, I mean, here we are. Third overtime, final attempt at it. You find yourself in pretty good position. Going to be starting on the front row. You've had an attempt already at it now. What do you change here? How do you beat the 5 on this restart?
I just got to time his restart better. I did pretty bad last time. You got a pretty good jump. If I can keep it door to door on him, I think I might have a shot, but he's got the advantage clearly, so we'll see what happens here.
Well, we've seen how well the outside line works here tonight. It's really hard to make a pass. Now, it is a short track, and it begs the question, if we get to 3 and 4 and you guys are close, is the bump and run move an option in play?
Oh, well, it always is in play, you know, especially going for a W, and Isaac's been killing all of us, so if I can get a steal one from him, I think I'd like to.
Sounds like a plan. Well, thanks for talking to us. Hey, good luck for this final restart. We'll see if we see you in victory lane.
Absolutely, thanks.
There you go, Mark Beverly. And hey, there you go. I like it. It says it's always in play, especially when a win is on the line. So keep that in mind here. If Mark Beverly's really close getting into that final turn, it'll be interesting to see. You know, you don't have to wait till the final turn. It's all about where you're at and kind of where the guy in front of you is running. You don't want to wreck him. You just want to move him up the track, out of the groove a little bit, and give you just enough to get by and run away with one. All right, 2 laps, final time. This time, if we get a caution, the race will finish under caution. But if we make it to the white flag, then this race will be official, and we will race it all the way to the finish. I believe this is the first race of the season that has went to all 3 overtimes. Here we go. Green flag back in the air for the final time at Phoenix. Good restart for Isaac Smallwood. Mark Beverly, just nothing he can do. And this time, Jesse Calloway is going to get low. Calloway to his inside. Beverly, can he get enough of a run to get clear here? He's going to have to if the 4 hangs even here off at 2. He's got no chance. Meanwhile, Isaac Smallwood pulling away. He loves what he is seeing in his mirror right now. Mark Beverly does get clear. 2 by 2 further back. Joe Yates looking for a position here on Dylan Paul. Is Dylan with the block? Dylan's going to be able to make it work, but now he washes up the track. Meanwhile, up front, Isaac Smallwood takes the white flag. 1 lap to go. Big run by Mark Beverly down the front stretch. He gets all the way up to the back bumper of Isaac Smallwood. Nothing doing there. He had to back up his entry to the corner. He's going to have one more shot at it here, potentially down in turn 3 and 4. He got a really good run down the back. Here we go, Mark Beverly. Final time. Doesn't give him a little bit of a shot. Dives to the inside. Gets it in the 5. He doesn't slide him up. Beverly goes high. Isaac Smallwood's going to hold on. He wins it at Phoenix. Wrecking out back behind. Beverly said it was in play. He tried it. Oh, man, what an effort it was, but he just couldn't quite do it. What a win for Isaac Smallwood. Well, it was certainly one of the craziest races we've seen all season. But Isaac Smallwood, again, proving why he's the best of the best out here. Man, we got to go back and take a look at that finish before we go any further. I mean, he told you he was going to give it a shot here, and I'll give him props. I mean, he set up the run pretty well off of 1 and 2, and he tried it right here. Didn't try it quite the way I thought he was going to try it. Watch what Beverly does here. He's going to jump to the inside early in the corner. And I can't believe that Isaac Smallwood held that truck as straight as he did. I mean, with that much contact, you see Beverly, it gets him sideways from the contact, and he washes up the track. Smallwood, I mean, that's a phenomenal truck control by Isaac Smallwood to hold on. And Beverly, all in all, not a big loss. He only loses one more position from the move. But, you know, I'm wondering if maybe this would have worked a little better here for Beverly if he would have tried to get him a little bit more square with it. But, man, I just cannot believe that kept the 5 truck did not get out of shape at all from this. I mean, it certainly bumps him up the groove a little bit, but man, oh man, what a crazy race, crazy finish. Isaac Smallwood burning it down over here on the front stretch, celebrating. He is your winner here tonight at Phoenix. Bringing home second, it's Jesse Calloway. His season best finish here tonight. Mark Beverly back in third. Kevin Winker finishes in fourth. Dennis Steele rounding out your top 5. Joe Yakes in 6th with Nicholas Lawrence in 7th. David Traylor 8th. Dylan Paws in 9th. And Evan Schilling rounding out your top 10. Clinton Woodby back in 11th. Colton Hardy in 12th. Robert Dudley in 13th. Nathan Somerville in 14th. Hoss Beverly 15th. Jason Wise in 16th. Bill Hales in 17th. Brody Benty finishes back in 18th with Keith Prince in 19th. Andrew Hansley rounding out your top 20. Jonathan Herbert finishes 21st. Rick LePage 22nd. Michael Newman in 23rd. Jeremy Tolley 24th. John Shileno 25th. And Lance Thompson rounds out your field tonight. He finishes in 26th. All right, we're going to go get your top 3 in here for interview. Stick with us. We'll be right back at Phoenix. All right, back live at Phoenix Raceway. Going to start first tonight with your third place finisher, Mark Beverly. Mark, this is Austin in the booth. Got a copy?
Yeah, I'm here.
Well, man, you certainly gave it a shot. You made for quite the exciting finish. Couldn't quite do it. So close. I mean, was there anything you think you could have set up differently there on that last lap to maybe make it work?
I should have tried it in 1 and 2. I think he knew he was coming in 3 and 4. So I don't know if I could have done something different if I tried that, but I knew he kind of parked it in 3. I just didn't have a shot. He didn't even move. So I tried my best, but I'll still take a top 3, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. The bump and run doesn't work out, but it still ends in a podium finish nonetheless, and especially with as crazy of a race as we had here tonight. I mean, you know, you got sent towards the back early after that caution you were involved in. You still managed to recover, slowly worked your way all the way back up to the front. And once you got back up there, you never looked away. So kind of take us through, when it's a roller coaster night like that, how you stay focused and how ultimately you were able to get yourself to the front by the end of this thing.
Yeah, just I really like Phoenix, so I just enjoyed kind of ripping the bottom. I know a lot of people go up high. I try to go the bottom to the middle. Seems to give me a little better air, just maybe make a little bit better lap times when the tires wear off. And I don't know, just try to get around people. Got a couple cautions timely. I feel like that long green flag, I might have still been around 3rd or 4th. But I don't know, ended up being pretty crazy and thought I had a chance, but just didn't time it up right. So.
Well, it still ends in a good finish nonetheless. So before we let you head out tonight, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Yeah, shout out to everybody watching. Shout out to our sponsors that help us out. Winning Bid, Diecast, Auctions, Sonic Graphic Design, and Nirjuana. And shout out to you.
All right, and thank you for talking to us again. Congrats on the 3rd place finish, and we will see you out here next week.
All right, we'll see you then.
All right, and now that'll bring us to your 2nd place finisher here on the night. Season best for Jesse Calloway. Jesse, this is Austin in the booth. Got a copy?
Yeah, man. How's it going?
Good. Well, I'll tell you what, you bring home 2nd. You showed a lot of fight on that last restart. It paid off, but, I mean, overall tonight, you also had to fight through quite a bit of traffic. You went to the front and had to do it not just once, but a couple different times. But there at the end, man, how did you manage to hold on to a 3rd place finish in the middle of all that chaos?
Yeah, we had a really, really good truck. I don't know. I was thankful to be holding down top 5 for most of the race. It felt like lucky Mark kind of went for it there, and I was able to pick up another spot. But, yeah, I don't know, man. It's good to finally be up here again. It's been a while.
Well, now that you've kind of broken out of that little bit of a dry streak, you got that first podium finish under your belt for the season. How are you going to carry this momentum into Indy next week?
A lot of practice, probably. I'm not familiar with Indy and the trucks that much, but I'll get some practice in. And I like the schedule that's coming up. This last part of the regular season and the playoffs. A lot of them are good tracks for me. So hopefully we can take the momentum into next week and further.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for talking to us here tonight. Before we let you head out to celebrate second, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Yeah, shout out to Mark Beverly and everybody that puts on the league. It's been really, one of the best leagues I've been in the past 5 seasons. Shout out to my teammates at Loose Lug Nuts. Those guys are always pushing me to drive harder and be better. Shout out to my family that might be watching out there, any friends, and shout out to you and all the great job you do, man. Every time I go back and watch the broadcast, I really enjoy it. It's always a really good one, so appreciate it.
Well, we certainly appreciate you talking to us tonight as well. Again, congrats on the second place finish, and we'll see you at the Brickyard next week.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it.
All right, and now that'll bring us to your winner. And, we need to start getting an official counter because I think at this point it's win number 9 for Isaac Smallwood. But, boy, it was a thrilling one tonight. Isaac, this is Austin in the booth. You got a copy.
What's up, buddy?
Well, we heard the flip side of it here, and I don't know if I've ever seen someone get hit that hard in the final corner and the truck almost not even be phased. How did you manage to hold on to that there at the end?
Man, I was just hoping and praying. I knew I had to sail it in there deep, and I sailed it in there, and then I saw Mark. He went even deeper, and he hit me, and I just let Jesus take the wheel. That's all I did. I don't know how the truck stayed straight, but I was glad it did, and we was able to pick up a win, either 8 or 9.
Well, 9th win of the season. So at this point, you got to feel like it. Just about any track that you unload at, you're going to have a chance. Now, next week, we head to Indy, kind of breaking out of some of the short and more technical tracks that we've been to over the course of the last couple weeks. How you feeling about your chances on one of the big tracks again?
The bigger the track, the more equal the playing field is. So I think hopefully my teammates will be back. Hopefully we can get one of them a win. And I don't know. I'm not really feeling that comfortable, honestly. I've never been there before, so we'll just have to put in some practice and see what we can do.
Well, last thing I got to ask you about is the battle between you and Nathan Somerville there in the middle portions of the race. That was probably easily just about the best battle we've seen all season. Tell us a little bit about how that felt from the cockpit and how you're ultimately able to prevail in that one.
Well, it all started on that restart when he chopped me. But after that, he kept doing it, kept chopping my nose off, and it was getting a little frustrating, but I was like, I can't do that. I had a spotter with me, and he keeping me cool and everything. So we just kept our cool, let the tires wear out, and we was finally able to just prevail in that long run.
Yeah, cooler heads certainly did prevail tonight as you do capture another win. So with that, before we let you head out to celebrate in Victory Lane, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Yeah, I'd like to thank, of course, my spotter, Eric, with Puff's driving school, Eric and Braden with Mopower Motorsports, and just everybody who supports us and supports me and this league and what you do. I really appreciate it, putting this show on and for the fans, and that's about it.
And thank you for talking to us here tonight. Well, again, congrats on yet another win. We'll see if you can make it an even 10 potentially next week at the Brickyard.
Yep, thank you.
All right, that's about going to wrap up our coverage here tonight at Phoenix. And man, oh man, what a great race it was. Didn't disappoint. Isaac Smallwood captures another win. We had a lot of great races throughout. We had a great finish. And man, oh man, did not disappoint for our last short track in a little while. Again, next week we head to Indianapolis. Next place Ghost Racing Network heads is to the Fast Track Sim Racing Cup Series on Monday. Make sure you check that out. But as for that, that's going to wrap it up. That'll do it for me tonight. Austin Green here on Ghost Racing Network. Thank you all so much for coming out. I hope you enjoyed. And until next time, have a good night.